Hi, welcome to the channel. Today is the third chapter of the magic of thinking big. That is, build confidence and destroy fear. Let's start. Here are two ways to put people in proper perspective. Number one, get a balanced view of the other fellow. Keep these 2 points in mind when dealing with people. First, the other fellow is important. Emphatically, he is important. Every human being is. But remember this also, you are important too. So when you meet another person, make it a policy to think we are just two important people sitting down to discuss something of mutual interest and benefits. A couple of months ago, a business executive phoned to tell me he had just employed a young man whom I had recommended to him shortly before. Do you know what really sold me on that fellow? Asked my friend. What? I asked. Well, it was the way he handled himself. Most job applicants, when they walk in here, are for half scared. They give me all the answers they think I want to hear. In a way, most job applicants are a little like beggars. They will accept anything and they aren't particular. But G handled himself differently. He respected me, but what's just as important, he respects himself. What's more, he asked me as many questions as I asked him. He is no mouse, he is a real man and he is going to do alright. This mutually important attitude helps you keep the situation balanced. The other fellow does not become too important relative to you in your thinking. The other fellow might look frightfully big, frightfully important, but remember he is still a human being with essential other same interests, desires, and problems as you. Number two, develop an understanding attitude. People who want figuratively to bite you, growl at you, pick on you, and otherwise chop you down are not rare. If you are not prepared for people like that, they can punch big holes in your confidence and make you feel completely defeated. You need a defense against the adult bully, the fellow who likes to throw his meager weight around. A few months ago, at the reservations desk of a Memphis hotel, I saw an excellent demonstration of the right way to handle folks like this. It was shortly after 5 p.m. and the hotel was busy registering new guests. The fellow ahead of me gave his name to clerk in a commanding way. The clerk said, "Yes, sir, Mr. R, we have a fine single for you." Single? Shouted the fellow. I ordered a double. The clerk said very politely, "Let me check, sir." He pulled the guest's reservation from the file and said, "I am sorry, sir. Your telegram specified a single. I would have to put you in a double room, sir, if we had any available, but we simply do not." Then the irate customer said, "I don't care what the that piece of paper says. I want a double." Then he started in with that, "Do you know who I am?" Bit followed with, "I will have you fired. I'll see you, I will have you fired." As best he could, under the verbal tornado, the clerk is injected. "So we are terribly sorry, but we acted on your instructions." Finally, the customer, really furious now, said, "I want to stay in the best suite in this hotel now that I know how badly managed it is," and stormed out. I stepped up to the desk, thinking the clerk, who had taken one of the worst public tongue lashing I would seen in some time, would be upset. Instead, he greeted me with one of the finest "good evening, sirs" I would even ever heard. As he went through the routine of processing my room, I said to him, "I certainly admire the way you handled yourself just a moment ago. You have tremendous temper control." "Well, sir," he said, "I really can't get mad at a fellow like that. You see, he really isn't mad at me. I was just the scapegoat. The poor fellow may be in bad trouble with his wife, or his business may be off, or maybe he feels inferior, and this was his golden chance to feel like a whale. I am just the guy who gave him a chance to get something out of his system," the clerk added. Underneath, he is probably a very nice guy. Most folks are. Walking toward the elevators, I caught myself repeating aloud, "Underneath, he's probably a very nice guy. Most folks are." Remember those two short sentences next time someone declares war on you. Hold your fire. The way to win in situations like this is to let the other fellow blow his stack and then forget it. Several years ago, while checking student examinations papers, I came across only one that especially disturbed me. The student who wrote the examination had demonstrated in class discussions and previous tests that he was far better qualified than his paper indicated. He was, in fact, the fellow who I thought would finish at the top of the class. Instead, his paper put him at bottom. As was my custom in such cases, I had my secretary call the student and ask him to come by my office on an urgent matter. Paul W. appeared shortly. He looked as though he had been through a terrible experience. After he was comfortably seated, I said to him, "What happened, Paul? This just isn't the quality paper I expected you to write." Paul struggled with himself, looked in the direction of his feet, and replied, "Sir, after I saw that you had spotted me cheating, I just went to pieces. I couldn't concentrate on anything. Honest, this is the first time I have cheated at the university." I desperately wanted, and so I worked up a little pony to use. He was terribly upset, but now that he was talking, he won't stop. "I suppose you will have to recommend me for dismissal. The university rule says any student found cheating in any manner in just to permanent dismissal." Here, Paul started bringing up the shame this incident would bring to his family, how it would wreak his life. and all sorts of repercussions. Finally, I said, "Hold it now, slow down. Let me explain something. I didn't see you cheat until you walked in and told me I had not the fantastic idea, and that was the trouble. Now I am sorry, Paul, that you did." Then I continued, "Paul, tell me, just what do you want to gain from your university experience?" He was a little clamor now, and after a short pause, he said, "Well, doctor, I think my overall aim is to learn how to live, but I guess I am failing pretty badly." "We'll learn in different ways," I said. "I think you can learn a real success lesson from this experience. When you used your pony in there, your conscience bothered you terribly. This gave you a guilt complex that in turn broke your confidence. As you expressed it, you went to pieces. Most of the time, Paul, this matter of right and wrong is approached from a moral or religious standpoint. Now understand, I am not here to preach to you, give you a sermon but about right and wrong. But let's look at the practical side. When you do anything that goes contrary to your conscience, you feel guilty, and this guilty feeling jams your thought processes. You can think straight because your mind is asking, "Oh, we will get caught. Will I get caught?" Paul, I continued, "you wanted and so badly you did something you knew was wrong. There are many times in life when you will want to make an so badly you will be tempted to do something that is contrary to your conscience. For example, someday you may want to make a sell so badly you will think of deliberately uh, misleading the customer to buy, and you may succeed. But here's what will happen: your guilty feeling will grab hold of you, and the next time you see your customer, you will be self conscious, ill, and at ease. You will be wondering, has he discovered that I pulled something over? Your presentation will be ineffective because you can't concentrate. Chances are you will never make the second, third, fourth, and the many repeat sales. In the long run, making that sell using tactics that hurt your conscience will cost you a lot of income. I went on and pointed out to Paul how an occasional business or professional man loses his grip because of an intense fear that his wife will learn about a secret love affair he is having with another woman. Will she find out? Will she find out? Eats away the man's confidence until he can't do a good job at work or in the home. I reminded Paul that many criminals are captured not because any clues point to them, but because they act guilty and self conscious. Their guilt feeling puts them on the suspect list. There is within each of us a desire to be right, think right, and act right. When we go against that desire, we put a cancer in our conscience. This cancer grows and grows by eating away at our confidence. Avoid doing anything that will cause you to ask yourself, will I get caught? Will they find out? Will I get away with it? Don't try to make an if it means violating your confidence. Paul, I am pleased to say, got the point. He learned the practical value of doing what's right. I then proposed he sit down and retake the examination in answer to, to his question. But what about my dismissal? I said, I know what the regulations say about cheating, but if we dismissed all students who have cheated in any way, half the professors would have to leave, and if we dismissed all students who thought about cheating, the university would have to shut down. So I am forgetting this whole incident. If you will do me a favor, gladly, he said. I walked over to my bookshelf, took down my personal copy of 50 Years with the Golden Rule and said, Paul, read this book and return it. See how in J.C. Penney's own words, just doing what's right made him one of America's richest men. Doing what's right keeps your conscience satisfied, and this builds self-confidence. When we do what is known to be wrong, two negative things happen. First, we feel guilt, and this guilt eats away confidence. Second, other people sooner or later find out and lose confidence in us. Do what's right and keep your confidence. That's thinking yourself to success. Here is a psychological principle that is worth reading over 25 times. Read it until it absolutely saturates you. To think confidently, act confidently. The great psychologist Dr. George W. Crane said in his famous book Applied Psychology Chicago, the Hopkins Syndicate incorporation in 1950. Remember, uh, emotions are precursors of emotions. You can't control the lighter directly, but only through your choice of motions or actions. To avoid this all too common tragedy, mat- marital difficulties and misunderstandings, become aware of the true psychological facts, go through the proper emotions each day, and you will soon being to feel the corresponding emotions. Just be sure you and your mate go through those motions of dates and kisses, the phrasing of sincere daily compliments, plus the many other little courtesies, and you need not worry about the emotion of love. You can't act devoted for very long without feeling devoted. Psychologists tell us we can change our attitude by changing our physical actions. For example, you actually feel more like smiling if you make yourself smile. You feel more superior when you make yourself stand tall than when you slouch. On the negative side, frown a really bitter frown and see if you don't feel more like frowning. It is easy to prove that managed emotions can change emotions. People who are shy in introducing themselves can replace this timidity with confidence just by taking three simple actions simultaneously. First, reach for the other person's hand and clasp it warmly. Second, look directly at the other person, and third, say, I am very glad to know you. These three simple actions automatically and instantaneously banish shyness. Confident action produces confident thinking. Thank you so much. If you are new on this channel, you subscribe the channel and press bell icon so all the videos or notification you get first. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you so much.